4 kind of priorities there were developed with in collaboration with the sector as well, with those tourism businesses. So it's not just us saying these are the priorities. These were all agreed through a consultation exercise. So, you know, having them develop those kind of priorities, and also, you know, adhering to them, adopting them as well, and driving on key ones at certain stages, is a paramount importance. And then naturally COVID kind of hindered some of this stuff as well. So which we'll go on to further on down the report.
And over the page 8, under 4.9, there's a block there with details covering a number of years, but there's nothing, and I presume these are years ending at March 31st in each year. There's nothing there for 21, 22, 23, or 24. Is there any particular reason why we are not up to date?
Yeah, what we're doing is capturing the data where we were. So we thought we'd take it up to pre-COVID. And then later on down the report, you'll see there's other tables in terms of table 2, and there's further runs that take you up to 2023. So what we have to do in terms of these steam figures is let the year roll. So, you know, take the end of December 2020, for instance, and then it takes a good couple of months to accumulate all the information, all the data, them steam guys to kind of crunch all the figures and then give us our annual report based on that.
So the latest year that you can get full figures then is ending March 2023. Is that right?
Not so much March is the annual, it's the actual calendar year, 2023.
Oh, calendar year.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Same.
Sorry, Clive, just to add, I think if you look, table 7, this should give you the full stuff up to March 2023.
Yeah.
5.7.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll go to December 2020.
I know, it's calendar year.
Yeah. Okay. Same page under 4.12. It refers in there to pre-family explorers. Are we talking about people who trace their ancestry? Are these? I've never come across the name pre-family explorers before, but that's an in-house, up-to-date tourism.
They're all key target market audiences developed by Visit Wales as demographic profiles, and then we align certain research they've done to those specific target audiences to our research.
So what do they mean by pre-family explorers? Is that people tracing their ancestry? Or
I took it at families without children.
Yes.
Oh, just oh, I see.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Where we were over the page, page 5.1, we refer quite a lot to the employment of a marketing officer, but that's only for 2 years. When does that current contract expire?
So marketing officer's post ends on the 31st of March 2025. But that post has been in existence for more than 2 years because it was funded by a number of other programmes. Previous to the Shared Prosperity Fund, it was funded by our European Transnational programme prior to that for 3.5 years then. So it's been in existence probably a good 7 years.
Right. But so if we don't have any more SPF funding, that post goes from the 1st of April next year?
At the moment, yeah, because there's no finance there to sustain that post, and the amount of income that we would potentially bring in at the current rate wouldn't sustain a post of that size.
Right. Okay. On the same page, a bit lower down, under 5.3, and please don't take this the wrong way, but I put it down as a query. It refers to in the summer the DMT representing Merthyr Tydfil, Natural Eisteddfod, World Travel Market, London, and the British travel trade shows. Did we receive any tangible benefit from being there? What was the fallout of that to us as a tourist authority?
When we attend these, we're part of a regional partnership called Southern Wales Tourism, where 10 local authorities share resources. Because limited resources, we pool that and we attend then and represent the area. As a result of these travel trade shows, we have one-to-one appointments with specific market audiences, group travel trade organisers, that we then develop a database, and we have follow-ups then with those interested companies to attract them to do tours or different itineraries in Southeast Wales. So there are outputs that come from these attendance at these travel shows, because we develop our databases and stronger connections with people in the market who we can reach to come to our area then.
So we could trace from that,
Yes,
any of those attendances, whether there's an increase in, I don't know, the specific areas that you're talking about to Merthyr Tydfil.
there is a tangible element that we can tie back to as an output from those initial connections, and then whether that transpires into actual bookings and itineraries. Yes.
Okay. I'm still on the same page under 5.4. You refer there to the town centre banners, but never mind about the digital screens at the moment. When you say the town centre banners, are these the banners on these poles that you look at? Because when I'm driving down Brecon Road, if I screw my neck round that way and stop for 5 minutes, I can read them. But you can't read them, and I'm not the only one who has said this. It's lovely to see it on a pole, but you cannot read them, and I presume it's mainly for drivers driving up and down these places. So I don't quite see, somebody will have to convince me what the point is of putting these banners on sideways when it's really impossible to read.
Sorry. Yeah, totally take on board. But what the difference is, these banners made up of private enterprises, different departments who want to share kind of images or kind of statements, as well as their own tourism stuff. Now, primarily, we want things kind of visual, so just literally one image and maybe icons and one slogan, ideally situated where you can read it without slanting your head. But it's well within the right of other organisations, other companies and departments that want to put as much information on there. I know, I totally understand. And I think when you look at the report and we look at formalising the sale of banner space and all the digital stuff, I think we need to start being a little bit more kind of forthright in saying, like, we know that some of these banners are not fit for purpose in terms of when you're driving past. So yeah, we'll take it on board, and we can always advise, like, this is where we think we are going in terms of the banner designs, and we'll have to make it right.
I don't think, for the purpose they're intended, I don't think they work effectively, to be honest with you.
2 seconds, Clive. Alan, did you want to come in?
Yeah,
Sorry.
it's a lot of personal choice with this. The fact that they're popular and people use them, and I think that both external organisations, private businesses, and internal departments, they do see a value for them. I suppose the rest is personal choice then, isn't it?
I think so.
On up to page 11 now, under 5.6 there, it refers to accommodation type. You got the figures there. Just to make sure, that's the, so for example, self-catering, there are 270 units of self-catering throughout the county borough. Is that right? I read that correctly?
Okay, so with the accommodation, we undertook a bed stock survey. So year on year, we've reported into STEAM, and we have 4 categories. We have self-catering, which is accompanying the rise in the Airbnb market. That's why that figure have grown exponentially in the last 3 years. We've got serviced accommodation, camping and caravan, and hostels and bunkhouse. We do a data scrape off the internet, off the main booking sites, and then we cross-reference that with the data that's held by Visit Wales and a system called Transparent, which we access through Visit Wales' account. And we combine that all together, make sure there's no duplications, and that's how those figures of properties are derived.
Right. I can't determine from that. Clamping, for example.
Mm-hmm.
I know there's planning permission being given for clamping in 1 or 2 places in the county borough, but I don't know how many of those are glampers, let's put it that way, out of 20. I presume the majority of that is caravans. Is that correct?
Primarily, we were talking about camping and probably caravan spaces. There are glamping spaces in Merthyr, and if you want us to break down exactly out of those 20, we can break them down in terms of where they sit.
Yeah.
If that's okay.
Yeah, I think that will give us
No worries.
more of an idea, to be honest with you. Chair, over the page, not page 13, and at 6.3, it said the DMT will also look to run a small capital grant to support the accommodation sector during the autumn period. How small is small?
Small is, we got around £40,000 of capital money left from the previous grant call in the summer. So the team have literally just finalised those applications, kind of shortlisted, done an immediate assessment, and we started looking at those applications to mop up that £40,000 capital this morning, funnily enough. Probably take us to the end of the week in terms of what organisations will be successful in receiving that money, but we just lowered the kind of amount to £5,000 instead of £10,000, made it capital focused, and we'll probably end up funding around 8 accommodation businesses from that haven't been funded by this in the summer summer phase. So they're new businesses.
They're brand new. Okay, thank you. I want to page 14 now. 6.9 looks to refer to the recent diagnostic assessment exercise. The team understands there's a real need for accommodation sector to reflect on their current business and look at ways to further improve their offer. It says by being equipped for additional finance. So let's stick with hotels at the moment. How do we know that the individual hotels are giving value for money? And how do we assess people who stay in them that they are great, the wonderful experience, and they'll recommend them to anybody else? Have we got an overall view of that or not?
No, because they're all private entities, they wouldn't naturally share that information with us in terms of feedback, and they would share kind of usage figures, but that kind of anecdotal feedback or whether it's done online is generally shared with our business. They don't have to share that information with us. So we have no way of capturing that. Plus, we capture a lot of data outside of that stuff.
So from a tourist point of view, we've got no input whatsoever over the experience and the quality of visitor stays in hotels.
No, it's all for those private businesses to obviously look after their customers. But again, we have the team there to support them in terms of developing their websites, accessing grants to improve their business, their facilities, etc. We can only take a horse to water. We can't make you drink in some respects.
Yeah, okay. And in paragraph 6.11, still on page 14, it says there's a number of collaborative initiatives being worked on collectively across the region, which will produce greater opportunities for Merthyr Tydfil in the future. Can you give me one example?
We're currently working with Cardiff Capital Region, and we work with a separate partner, Northern Valleys Initiative. So we're looking at product development with Northern Valleys Initiative at the moment, because they've got a specific pot for tourism product development. So we're working with them for a number of larger scale projects through the Northern Valleys Initiative, but then more regionally with CCR. We're also working with CCR because they're undertaking a study on governance, financial resources, and exploring best practice of how other areas work regionally. For example, the Bristol and Bath model is a local visitor economy programme. So they're exploring something like that for CCR, bringing in the 10 local authorities as a LVEP model and trying to elevate the status of how we all work together in collaboration for regional development. So it is a study that's ongoing at the moment, and once that study's prepared, there'll be a next phase of how they deliver that.
Right.
Can I come in on that to give you a practical example about the collaboration across Cardiff Capital Region? I was on a directors meeting with 10 directors with responsibility for economic regeneration, and we were discussing the latest the latest study that the region's having done around tourism and how we collaborate. And during that conversation, a good example came up with collaboration. The director from Cardiff, John Day, we were discussing how we can all support each other, and he was explaining that if we have quality products in each of the areas, we need to promote them collectively. And John explained that his tourism team actively market Bike Park Wales in Merthyr. So that's one a practical example from that collaborative model.
Okay, thanks. And I'm on to page 15 now. On 7.3, it refers there to you'll soon bring an experienced consultancy company to lead on the development of the new Merthyr Tydfil DMP. Is this a costly exercise? How much? Because when you see the word consultant.
Yeah, I know. I'm the same when it comes to consultants. But what we've done previously is we've had 2 previous iterations of a destination management plan, both written by officers in collaboration with the sector, which takes up a massive amount of time for officers, and it's a whirlwind process. Now, we're quite fortunate that we've got some revenue finance within the Shared Prosperity Fund over that period. And it just makes total sense to bring in an external consultant this time round to write a new destination management plan for us while we got the finance there, because naturally the team are busy. Going forward, we'll probably end up writing another one unless we get the finance there. But for this instance, it makes total sense because Welsh Government a couple of years back stated that they didn't require local authorities to produce destination management plans in order to get finance. So that was Visit Wales' stance. But now, more recently, there is a requirement by Welsh Government for local authorities to start looking at these again. So, for instance, Monmouth have just had theirs developed, and we and a couple of other South East Wales local authorities are following suit in getting our own destination management plans developed. So we want to get it done quickly rather than we'll have it done in, I don't know, twice as long if we wrote it ourselves.
That's fair enough. And Chair, I've got 2 general questions. It's all related to tourism. Leaflets. Wherever I go and stay, particularly in South Wales that it happens, I have a look because you'll see these stalls. There's leaflets there telling you all the attractions in any county borough that you can think of, certainly south and further afield. And I'll give you one big example. There's one of these stalls in the railway station in Cardiff. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, perhaps somebody's been there and put a lot of Merthyr Tydfil leaflets there, but I didn't find anything about Merthyr Tydfil. Last year, I stayed in a Premier Inn in Monmouth. They got this little stall right by the entrance going in there, leaflets telling you all the attractions, nothing about Merthyr Tydfil. Is there any reason why we are not there and being exposed to visitors from other places?
Yeah, before I bring Lindsay in to go into the details. So what we've found over the last couple of years is it's a little bit like wacky races in terms of some of these distribution companies that come in and sell you the world, and they cover all these different spaces. There's numerous companies out there that have their own little set spaces in all over, like you said, Cardiff train station. They got service stations and all different places, and you can choose your own kind of geographical remit of where your demographics generally come from in Merthyr. So we've done a lot of work in terms of getting those leaflets out there into those kind of spheres. So the fact you've gone into 1 or 2 spaces and we're not in there is probably because we haven't used that particular company. But I'll hand over to Linz because obviously we spend a bit of money in terms of distribution of leaflets. I should just give you a quick 30 seconds in terms of where we do.
Okay, so we are quite envied by some of our counterparts because in terms of actual print, we have collectively printed quite considerable amounts of quantities of print recently over the last 2 years since COVID. I'll just give a slight demonstration.
I'll hand them up now if you give them.
Okay, There are some copies on the water stand if anyone wants to take. There's samples on the table above. But we have a travel trade guide, which is the yellow copy. That is sent out more by request, and that's through our Southern Wales partner. But in terms of the 55-page brochure we have, that's gone out. We had 40,000 copies of that go out over the last year to retailers. We target main service areas across the M4 corridor. We target all where we research that a lot of people are booking from, so London, Leeds, Manchester, Bristol, Birmingham, all our key hotspots. From the insights we have, we try to target the outlets that we know that there's a genuine interest in Merthyr Tydfil. So we've got in distribution at present, we've got the 55-page larger booklet. We've got a flyer for Merthyr Tydfil, which we've had 80,000 print of. We've put half out this summer, and we'll put another wave out over the winter for the shoulder season. But you'll see there's numerous copies there, and they are out in distribution across Wales and the UK in quite prime sites.
Sorry, Chair, if I can just come in quickly or just on the back end of that, because obviously it's not just the case of us paying an organisation or company or numerous companies to send all these leaflets out and put them there and then that's it. They also produce reports in terms of when they're filling that stock as well, so we can see where the more buoyant areas are as well. So it's a bit of a science behind it. It's not just willy-nilly throwing these out and seeing what happens and seeing where we fill them up again in 6 months' time. So there is a process that we follow.
Okay, I'm obviously going to the wrong places where these leaflets
where you frequent in different places than perhaps
absolutely.
the tourists in Merthyr do.
Absolutely. Now then, it might be a dark ages question to you as officers, but I keep repeating and asking it. Where is the tourist office in Merthyr? Tourist information office in Merthyr Tydfil?
There isn't one.
So are we looking towards that, or is that being dumped for good?
No, at this point in time, firstly, we couldn't afford it, and it is a bit of a dark age thing, Clive, because everything happens online now.
Well, I don't know whether I agree with you entirely there, Alan. I went and my wife to a place in, I can't remember the name of it now, earlier on this year, in the Mendips. And just off the high street, there was signage. I mean, you didn't have to ask anybody. It took you to there. It was like France. If you go to France, they'll tell you exactly where the tourist information office is. It's in the Hotel de Ville, in the largest towns or the villages. And just behind this front property was one of the finest tourism information office I've been to for a long, long time. And there were people coming back and forth there constantly. So they do work, and I would suggest that Merthyr Tydfil's figures prove it here. The figures are going up and up, people visiting us. But if they come here and they haven't booked anything, and they manage to book accommodation somewhere, first thing they would be asking is, where's the tourist attractions, etc., etc. And it seems to me as if they'll have to find out for themselves what they do. And I personally don't think it's good enough.
I think Chris Long put you up to ask that question, didn't he?
To be honest, it was on my list of questions. It's come up in scrutiny quite a few times. I think I discussed with Lindsay when we discussed about going into Red House at one point. But I do think maybe with the hub and the location of the bus service, maybe the hub training staff up there and maybe directing people to that centre might be the ideal spot.
Just a quick one, this one, because I've managed tourist information centres, 2 of them in Merthyr, since 2006. So, we had the team manage them, but they've never been income generators in terms of sustaining those staff. So they've always been, resource heavy with staffing levels. Obviously, 2 staff needed at a time. Further on, when technology changes, we looked at hybrid models in terms of the transport interchange, for instance, putting a hybrid model in there that's self-manned and just maintained now and again, but that was never going to work because of the finances. Alan's right. At the end of the day, it's a view from Visit Wales. They don't finance tourist information centres. There are a few in some of the city centres and more kind of prominent tourism attractive kind of areas, you know, around the UK. But pretty much you walk around Southeast Wales in general, you won't have a tourist information centre, unfortunately. And I am from a model that sustains itself to showcase that it's worthwhile being there, open for those much hours, and yeah, again, naturally sustain itself.
Okay.
I agree with the suggestion from the chair.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe that's something we can discuss later date. Lindsay, do you want to come in?
Yeah.
I just wanted to, I managed the TIC that was put in Trago, so we designed that and we had a
Not the best place to put it, I would
no,
suggest.
it was, yeah. It was gifted to us as part of the development.
Yeah,
so we had that resource. What we did do, obviously, when the TIC closed, from what we developed there with the online inquiry service, the telephone, the download your brochure from the website as digital downloads, so all the leaflets are available digitally. Some of those services we've inherited and retained that we offered from the TIC. So that is still ongoing, that Linda and myself service. But there was a big move from Visit Wales, even pre-COVID, before everyone immersed themselves into digital technology. There was a movement from Visit Wales where a lot of TICs naturally closed due to finances and people moving to online information resources like social media or getting information from the website. So even though that movement have happened, we still try to offer a personalised service through all our literature has our contact details, our email, a general inquiry, and we do service a lot of personalised requests also.
Okay. In terms of, say it was going to go to the hub, how much training, would there be a lot of training involved in training the reception staff there? You know, just as a signpost.
No, I like all the information's online. Loads of information's on the guides themselves. Plus the staff are always on call in terms of responding to email or telephone number in terms of any kind of initial things. So you know we can answer questions during set hours. But you know 98% of that information is online or within one of the guides, but mostly online. So it shouldn't be hard. Just is probably a little session with the team explaining the key facts, the main things.
Great.
I'm guessing.
If that's something you could look at, that'd be great. Councillor Scrivens wants to come in.
Yeah. Just to add to that, Cherry, I think what we've got, Councillor, is we're in a situation where we've got a regenerative plan in place now for the town. And as you can see, one of the things that we're hopeful of is that the SPF funding will continue, so we can keep that marketing post in place. Because I think that's a key focus in terms of the success that we've had. I think you can look at the data in two different ways as well, which is interesting. And from my perspective, I can see it also being as, even though we haven't had a tourism spot within the town, we've actually done quite well. You know, considering the fact that we haven't got one, that we've still got those numbers steadily going up. But of course, if it's something that the committee want to put forward and recommend, you know, I more than welcome any recommendations that you want to put forward. But we've also got to, from my perspective, see is there going to be a real benefit for us in terms of what we're doing, or do we prioritise going forward with this marketing strategy we've got and trying to ensure that we can cover SPF if it is that funding isn't allocated or extended. But I do appreciate where you're coming from and those comments, because I do think that there's a demographic thing here as well in terms of who accesses that information, whether it's digital or whether it's a physical copy. And I appreciate that.
Talking about physical copies, I've just thought of another one which is very close to home. If any of you have been to Garwnant lately, because I know that's just over the border in RCT. God knows why it's in RCT, because it's more affiliated, frankly, to Bertha Tidwell. But you've got these 40-odd lodges beyond there. I was there a fortnight ago, looked through the leaflets, leaflets there from various places, nothing there from Bertha Tidwell.
Vince, do you want to come in?
We do encompass Garwnant as part of our marketing literature, so they're on our website, our interactive map. So we don't see just as a boundary, just because they're into RCT. We do collaboratively work to promote them. However, in terms of our distribution, we tend to do our leaflet drops on our key prime locations. So Linda and myself will have that print and we'll drop off on our key sites. And Garw Nant is our, not that we'd want to step on toes, we don't work like that. We are very close, all our destination managers, but Garw Nant is theirs. And when we have Pay, who does our distribution for our larger distribution, we don't have as much control of what sites they go to. So for example, they've gone and taken it to Co-op or in Pedrebar. They will allocate quite a lot of our distribution out from our quantities from their records, and we just get the reports back. Garw Nant have obviously just missed off one of the sites, but we are on all of our Merthyr sites 100%.
Okay, thanks, Clive. Councillor Thomas?
Yeah, thanks, Chair. Just going back to the tourist information again. In the report, we mentioned about digital screens in the transport hubs and that. Could they be used to promote until we can get something more substantial to promote our attractions?
Yeah, we have. We do. When we first started that initiative, probably 2.5 years ago, in terms of getting that information on there, we wanted to fill some space just to test it out and see what the impact was. So we started putting some generic kind of tourism attraction stuff on there. But now, again, as we said in the report, we need to start formalising out the sale of that space now, because it's still a pilot. 2.5, 3 years down the line, it's still a pilot scheme. So now, going forward, we need to formalise in terms of the banner sales and that digital space, because there's money to be made there. It's not a massive amount of money, and it won't sustain that marketing post, but it would help us deliver a couple of marketing initiatives. So we need to strategically look at the economic value of that site along with other potential sites as well. Sorry.
Yeah, if I can just say, the technology is moving on at the quantum pace at the moment. If you go to Orbit Business Centre, you can see the digital notebook that we've installed a few weeks ago there, which is a digital, not only digital notice board, but a digital map of exactly who's in orbit, what they do, their marketing, etc. So it's been relatively inexpensive for a couple of grand. It's a piece of tech that we can actually program ourselves. So to answer Councillor Thomas's question, I think we've got an enhanced capability to do it now, John, and that's something that we'll be looking at in the key sites.
Just to quickly come in, I don't know if there is an opportunity for Visit Wales for Brilliant Basics, and something that I've been discussing with my colleagues in the Regen team and Lance from Orbit is a potential bid for digital. So working with our key prime 5 attractions and the bus interchange, because even though equipment went in, which Ryan mentioned, there is some faults coming through from there. So we do need to revisit that, and the poster systems that are in there are old school printing, putting posters. So we want to look at the interchange, the shopping centre and 5 key prime sites for a digital bid to Brilliant Basics, working with key partners as a collaborative project. And that then would make a movement away from digital print, because the eco policies don't want lots of leaflets and stands. They want to go to digital. So by purchasing these kiosks and getting the infrastructure through the grant will help us achieve that project, and something that we are currently looking at, which could be potentially imminent for delivery by next year across our main sites.
Thanks, Chair.
Yeah, Connie.
No, that's it.
All right, thanks, John. Yeah, sorry. Before I call you in, Dave, in terms of the bus, whatever you just said. When I was there, the digital screens, they were advertising Brecon, and obviously, if you're going to sell space there, they're going to be advertising places outside of Merthyr. So I guess you need to get that right in terms of advertising what we need to advertise to visitors and selling space as well. David, do you want to come in?
Thank you, Chair. First thing, 4.9 mentioned the Scarborough Tourism Economic Activity, the STEAM, which is obviously used by a lot of councils, accept that. But where does it collect its data from? And are the figures actual figures, or are they modelled via statistics, so it's not really true figures?
Okay, so the Scarborough is used Pan Wales. All 22 local authorities use the STEAM model that's fed into Welsh Government. So the analysts there do it Pan Wales. What happens is at a local level, I contact all the local attractions. So I have a list of, say, 15 attractions here that we collect data from. Do that by month, and that's then given an annual total per calendar year. That covers the attraction model as a visitor. The analyst applies a local element into some of the attractions, because some might be a town centre figure collected through data from the town centre. They'll take a percentage of local element for that. That's all then pooled into a multiplier effect based on their research that's applied across Pan Wales. So that attracts the day visitor statistic. Then the accommodation model, the staying visitor statistics that they derive, is from our bedstock surveys, our diagnostic reviews, where we then contact all our attraction accommodation providers to find out how long they open for, the prices. That all is fed into a database to the analyst, and then they apply an economic factor derived from that, also based on their Pan Wales multiplier effects, and that's how our data is derived.
Yeah, that's what I thought it's modelled, but they must, when they get visitors, they must specifically ask them targeted questions to extract the base information in the first place.
Oh no, sorry, STEAM or the attraction?
STEAM or the attraction. You collect the information from the attractions.
Yes.
The attractions must get base information by asking the visitors specific information, or how do we know where they...
No, honestly, if I knew how STEAM worked, I'd been probably in a different job on 3 times as much salary. So it's a science in itself, but the understanding is they have to use that scientific methodology to kind of work out what that individual cost would be to the local authority. But it's much more than, you know, bums on seats and people in beds. There's how many car parking spaces there are across the local authority. They account for how many restaurants, pubs, etc. So it's a much wider process, and there's so many kind of algorithms they use. It's not just bed stock, and it's not just attractions. It's a vast amount of stuff. But they've obviously got those data streams that they use. We feed in as much information as we can in terms of footfall, etc. on the trails. All that data, they crunch numbers and give us a report. Now, all right, you can query some of the kind of some of the outcomes based on that in terms of the economic value and all that stuff. But when you've got 22 other local authorities in Wales buying into the system, and a vast amount of other local authorities across the UK, it's there for a reason, and we have to kind of believe those stats. Plus, you can't go wrong with anecdotal kind of feedback from our accommodation providers and our attractions. Where, you know, we know it's busy, we know it's buoyant, and there's some really good things happening, and you know, the tourism sector is growing. So, you know, we love data. As you can see in the report, we're always kind of grasp different data and using different kind of things. And I think STEAM is the main thing we have in our arsenal to say this is the impact the tourism sector is having in Merthyr.
Can you drill down in to find out, you know, provide a map of where people are coming from for us? Like so, when I worked in a venue not far from here, you know, we'd sell tickets, and I'd know where people were coming from, and I could map that out, and they would be coming from all over the UK. Can you tell us, like, you know, percentage of where these people are coming from?
In a certain degree, we have access to Visit Wales's reports from, not for staying visitors. We have a database called Transparent. They've just moved into a sister company, but that will drill down to where people are booking from. So you will actually get where is that resident coming from to stay overnight in Visit Merthyr. So we have heat maps, and we have statistics on that. It doesn't give the house number or anything. It doesn't go specific as that, but it does give us an overview of what's international, what's domestic. And we are chiming more or less with Visit Wales at the moment, where it's about 90% domestic, 10% international. So we are.
That's pretty good.
We are similar to what Visit Wales, Pan Wales data is. So yeah, there are sources. So we've got the transparent data that we've got to log in from Visit Merthyr, Visit Wales for stay and visit. But we've also got our website where we can drill down on Google Analytics, that where are people signing in from their computers to find out access about Visit Merthyr from. So we've got a few resources where we can build up our database, and that's what informs our marketing distribution then.
Great. You know, if there's any maps or that would be great.
Well,
Thanks,
that's great. That's a better answer. That. Yeah. The thank you. In the pre-meeting, we asked and you provided the information to us on the post-COVID primary, where the grants and the success. And thank you very much. That was most appreciated and well answered. Thank you. My final one is Clive more or less. I'd asked this. It's about the Cardiff Capital regeneration. I was asking about similarly the success criteria, but obviously it says you're embedded in the team. How many have we got on the Cardiff Capital regen team? And do you think we've got a good voice there?
We work, our prime tourism contact within CCR is a gentleman, am I allowed to say his name? It's public, isn't it? Gareth Berry is our main conduit for Cardiff Capital Region, and he oversees tourism. And then working in his team, we have a gentleman who's leading on the Northern Valleys initiative, and both of them have got a tourism under their remit. So we work closely with them because they both attend our South Wales tourism forums, they both on the Visit Wales forums that we're on, and they also work with us on a local level. So we've got a good relationship and rapport already building from that perspective.
Yeah, I was going to ask what success you had, but Clive had already stolen that one, so that's appreciated. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, the tourism subgroup through Gareth report back up into the directors group. So the 10 directors have oversight. So we obviously we've got a long history of being at the forefront of the development of CCR. So we have got a front row seat.
Thank you. That's me finished.
Thanks, David. Any other questions? Councillor Smith?
Thank you, Chair. As a new member, I am done tourist and regeneration for about 10, 15 years. So somebody asked a question, the 4 priorities, what are they? Because when I come back to this, Chair, in the comments, when the officer's gone, out to support what I got to learn and what I got to do in regen and tourists since I'm a new boy. Well, I think they say new boy at my age.
So, sorry, Councillor, whereby in the report are you referring to?
No, the 4 is a Clive Jones, Councillor Clive Jones asked a question, right? And they mentioned there were 4 priorities. Are you talking about?
Are you talking about 11 priorities?
Is it 11? 11 4?
11 previous priorities. So like we did touch upon it quickly. And,
or you can send me something out.
I guess it's easier to send you what those 11 priorities are, because there's sub priorities under those 11 priorities. Right. So happy to share that information rather than spending 7 minutes.
No problem. I'm quite happy with that.
Teaching you the new boy.
I like that.
Top boy. Top boy. Thanks, Bill. Councillor Jones.
Well, it's been mentioned about the Northern Valleys venture, but I haven't got a clue what we are talking about there. How many areas does it encompass? Is Merthyr Tydfil the whole of the county borough in that? Or is it only certain valleys involved with it?
Yeah, and within CCR, there's a cognizance that the Northern Valley, so you've got Blaen y Gwent, you've got Merthyr, you've got the top end of Caerphilly, you've got Torfaen, the Llynby Valley, has had a disproportional amount of investment funding, and that's across several themes. Yeah, so in CCR, a sum of money was top sliced. It's not a massive amount of money, £50 million. Originally,
50 million. 5-0.
5-0. Yeah. But over that type of geography, and for investment funding, which covers business, tourism, technology. That's not a lot. It sounds an awful lot, but it isn't. So Welsh Government were going to match fund that with an additional 50 million pound, but they crowed out last minute. So we've got this 50 million pound over 4 priorities in the Northern Valleys, and so far we're the closest to getting any share of that money.
And have you any idea how much our share is going to be?
We haven't finalised what that's going to be, but yeah, I don't particularly want to jeopardise our application at this stage. But it's going to be a substantial sum,
Right.
and it's going to be an economic business investment.
Right. That's good news, Jay.
Thank you. Any other questions? I've got quite a few, but I'll pick a. Some of them have been asked, and I'll pick the main ones really. So we can all understand the team. Could you just tell us who's in your team and what your annual budget is?
Yeah, so we obviously got Lindsay, who's our destination management coordinator, and Linver, who's our destination marketing officer. That's the core kind of team. But what you got sitting under the team is a number of staff that are experienced across the genre of tourism. So obviously myself, the managers of the team, but then we've got rights of way officers, we've got other members of the team that just slip in and out of tourism as well and support different economies, and even to the links of sports and our regeneration team in general. So even though we've got a core of 2 people, we've got a number of staff that support a number of different initiatives as well. So it's not just Lindsay and Linver fighting the battle. They've got about 20 odd staff underneath that come in and support when needed.
Okay, thanks, Roy. In terms of the budget, what is it now, and has it decreased over the last 5 years?
We did have. I'll go on then. All right.
That's a really difficult one to answer, actually, because we're so dependent on external funding and accessing grants. Then the amount of money that we've got fluctuates. Obviously, Lindsay's post is core. Linver's post is grant funded. Yeah. And touching upon your last question, the way that we've integrated the regeneration teams is they're all multidisciplined and multi-trained. So if you just look at the town centre and Zoe's team, a big chunk of their work is tourism, really, because it's the visitor economy, it's the leisure economy. So it's a difficult one to answer, and we've built all these services without any core, because at one point when we started sort of constructing the regeneration provision, which would post Bill's World, really, it was about 90% externally funded. We have dropped more core in over the years, but I'm not being evasive. It's a really difficult one to answer.
Yeah, I do get that. Like a point I'm trying to make. Obviously, it's Linver and Lindsay. They're quite a small team if you look at it like that, and they do exceptional work for such a small team. And I get that it's multidisciplinary, but pre-COVID, it did seem like it was a Merthyr brand, and I'm guessing you've got less money now than you probably was there.
Yeah.
It's all depending on what stage we are at funding. Obviously, we've got a little bit of co-finance and have done since 2017. The collaborative project, which was running from 2007, has given us a substantial amount of money to finance the team and some resource there to drive the sector. But we've been quite savvy in terms of accessing finance to run marketing initiatives and sometimes employ staff. And it's just the fact that we're at the end of the current Share Prosperity Fund, which obviously finances Linver's post at the moment. Obviously, we're hoping to sustain that in whatever scheme comes after that. Hoping to find out pretty quickly. Plus, we're squirreling away, trying to find a plan B in terms of sustaining that post, even if it's for 6 months. So we'd always try and find finance to do certain things and sustain staff.
Yeah, well, that'll lead on to my next question. Then is what contingency plans are in place if SPF runs out, because obviously it's not just Linver's going to be lost. If you're talking about multidisciplinary of other staff, there's going to be other staff from other teams are going to be cut. So is there any contingency plans for that?
At this point in time, no. The only contingency we've got is there will be a successor programme, but at this point in time, until we have the autumn statement, we don't know what that's going to look like, because well, you know better than anyone else, Chair. Domestic funding is just absolutely dried up everywhere, and obviously the local authority isn't in a position to take on more core growth.
Yeah, it is a concern. Obviously, you know, was it 5 months, 6 months? I don't know, left, and you know, we still don't know. And then, yeah, frightening. Okay, I got a couple others. Could it be possible to get a growth update on the key attractions in Merthyr? It doesn't have to be now, obviously. And what support does the council give to these attractions on an ongoing basis? So you mentioned them in, you know, the report, the information you give us previous to this meeting. If we could get that, I don't mind sending that question across later.
Yeah, like I said, it's just a quick one. We've got the 4 kind of main attractions we focused on, like the bike park in this kind of phase of funding, had a unique kind of bike carrying system they developed themselves and built. Obviously had someone to build it for them, which would carry twice the amount of people and bikes, which was great. Brecon Railway, for instance, additional carriage, which obviously brings additional finance for when it's busy. These are the kind of projects there, but happy to break it down in terms of the 4 direct attractions and some of the lower level attractions as well. We got some information, some funding that we funded those entities as well, which kind of breaks down the support we've given there. And that's only because it's not giving us specific tourism finance, but some of these are social economy businesses that are classed as attractions, like Molas Golf Club, for instance. You know, you have people outside the local authority coming there, so if it's captured by Steam, then we class as an attraction, but not a mainstay attraction.
Okay, thanks, Ray. Okay, next question, page 10. There's a couple of diagrams there, and it says where people are, you know, that are searching for Merthyr. Do we know what they're searching for, and what would be the most searched item, and are we making use of what they search? You know, what data we're finding?
Okay, the table illustrates, that's a Google Analytics map for where are people hitting, where are they coming from to look and research Visit Merthyr. So it does chime again with the domestic, 90% of it is domestic, 10% international. I mentioned some of the key areas of domestic areas where people are coming from. We've got our hotspot areas, the London, Bristol, Birmingham, Leeds, Oxford, we've got that. But those, when we delve into the analytics from Google, our most popular page, believe it or not, well, I can't believe it, is Cyfarthfa Park and Castle. Now, I think that's probably contributed to the fact that when it was previously under well-being, it was very difficult to find our website as an independent attraction website. And that's because it sat under the well-being umbrella. So a general visitor struggled to find and unlock that information. So our most ranked top hit for Visit Merthyr was Cyfarthfa Park and Castle, because people were coming to us to get that information. So that was our main attraction top page that have been throughout for the last number of years. But our main attractions like Bike Park, Parkwood Outdoors, Rock UK, we don't tend to have major hits on those pages because they tend to go direct onto their websites. Well, we do get a lot of information, people landing on Visit Merthyr. I think like our Trails Network, Taft Trail, Trevithick Trail, our What's On section that we've added, so people finding what's on in the area, places to visit, you know, the hidden gems, you know, that like Molas, or those are the main things that people are searching for when they land on Visit Merthyr and coming up in our top feeds rather than the prime attractions. But we also do have a lot of people hitting our places to stay and doing a general browse of all our accommodation offer. So there's good analytics in there where we can understand what people are looking for.
Yeah, right. Do you want to come in?
Yeah, thanks, Chair. And also, just in addition to that, because obviously we talked on the premise of us developing a destination management plan, and we've got 4 or 5 key attractions within Merthyr that at the moment we don't have access to their kind of websites, so we don't have access to their kind of algorithms and their search engine optimization and where these demographics are coming from. But as part of this process, one of the actions we will implement, and we've got a great relationship with those 4 or 5 attractions, is we'll share that information as well across the board, so we'll know where the likes of Bike Park, where their kind of individual IP addresses are coming from, so where their kind of customers are coming from, and then we'll understand their demographics, because we know Bike Park's demographics are quite easy. You know, your male 30 or 40 years of age come in from XYZ. So, and this is where, when we go onto like table 5, for instance, we talk about social media, marketing kind of initiatives and how much money we spend on certain resources. We can start implementing that as well. So, you know, we love the data, we love all this kind of technology, and it's embedded within the team, and we're just exploring different ways of using that to kind of better the tourism sector in Merthyr.
Yeah, totally agree. I think the lessons to be learned off the, like you just mentioned, the wellbeing website. You know, now that the Cyfarthfa Castle has come back, I think it would be wrong to try and, my personal opinion, to put everything on a council website. I do think these attractions needs to have their own website. At Red House, it was a argument that I had to win the Facebook page, because like you just said, it just goes lost in our one website. You've got multiple attractions and you just couldn't find anything. So if they all have their own social media pages, I think that works much better. That's my personal opinion anyway. Okay, thank you. Did you want to come in? No, yeah, going on to that anyway, page 11, table 5, it shows paid Facebook ads. Do you want to say a little bit what benefit the paid Facebook ads compared to the organic posts?
Again, it all comes down to the content that's been created. Sometimes you can put an organic post, and you know, we put one of the TIC team put an organic post up just of a Visit Merthyr promo video, and it reached 70,000 views organically. We didn't even touch it, and we had lots of engagement, lots of comments, lots of shares. So sometimes you can have a really good winner with the algorithms and lots of engagement, and other times an organic post might only reach 1,000 to 5,000 people. So it all depends on the actual individual content. But what we tend to find that works well for us for Visit Merthyr is we've appointed a videographer that does a lot of themed videos. Now we've created 4 to date, and we're just in the process of creating a heritage video. When we launch those, they do tend to get a nice organic reach, but we'll boost that as well to make sure we don't want to just hit people from Merthyr and get our organic following. We from local, we want to ensure we hit in the right audience markets of that particular video theme and categorising it and tailoring down the ad specifically to a specific demographic, an area.
Yeah. So
we have piloted, as you can see on there, quite a few ads. Not expensive, you know, a couple of £100 as a trial. But you can see from the reaches, just from the videos, you know, impressions, 66,000, 80,000. Those are all potential new audience customers.
Yeah, I think that the council needs to be moving towards the paid posts. I don't know, like some of the members here that might not understand that Facebook, they throttle the algorithms, so they decide who sees the post. So they want you to pay for the posts. So, and then, you know, multiple people, and you can even set it to what postcodes and what areas you and what demographic you want to hit. So, like I think it's
Way forward.
Yeah, definitely the way forward, and you need a budget to deliver that as well, and corporate comms as well. Moving on. Is one for Alan, I guess. Are there any strategic plans to develop a hotel in the town centre?
Right, okay. First of all, as part of our placemaking plan, we targeted the support of boutique hotel developments and the development in Howfields, which has been very, very successful. 100% occupancy since they've opened. Has been a really good example. Since the success of that, we've had 3 additional developers all interested in running a similar model in Merthyr. But as part of our town centre master plan and the redevelopment of St Tidwell Centre, part of that we've had a specialist study done as part of the wider brief about hotel development. We also understand that the owner of the Castle Hotel, which we no longer use, we've our last client out there 3 weeks ago. We understand that the owner might be receptive to a sale of that facility for a hotel, a proper hotel, and we are aware that there is one developer who might be interested.
Awesome. Yeah, fantastic news. My last question, I'll skip a few. Throughout the report, you reference undertaking a diagnostic review of the sector. What are the key findings of those exercises and priorities going forward?
Yeah, thanks, Chair. Every year we do a diagnostic assessment of tourism, like we do for the social economy, for instance, and sports, just to see where each of the kind of organisations or the companies or businesses are, what their specific needs are around that time, and how many staff they employ, etc. So we do this periodically, but generally over the last 2 years we've done that to influence how our grant schemes look. So in terms of the tourism economy, we've asked the sector, look, you're having capital finance, what do you want? What kind of projects are you looking to fund? And then we can get a view in terms of the projects they want funded, but also the kind of top level costs of what we should be developing our grant schemes to roll out. So we get that information on an annual basis, and we've run 2 grant schemes from that. But as part of that as well, we have a training needs analysis. So for the tourism economy, we know where the training needs are for their staff and how periodic it is in terms of, in the summertime they employ more staff as they would in Christmas time, etc. So we know where they are. But just across the board, we've seen over the last 2 grant calls, the level of competence from the tourism economy in terms of developing or writing funded applications has probably gone down since pre-COVID. So we know there's a bit of work there. If we are to get an extension, for instance, in terms of extending SPF or Shared Prosperity Fund into another 6 months, maybe a year, a lot of work has to go to support the economy in terms of developing or writing funding applications and business planning as well. So we know there's still a lot of work to do. We work with partners in order to do this, but we just obviously need a bit of finance and some time to do that. So it gives us all that kind of insight into each of the sectors, and we do that, like I said, across the board in terms of social economy and sports.
Excellent, thanks, Roy. Councillor Smith, do you want to come in?
On the comment Alan just made about the plan, the town centre plan, when's that come to council? Because there was so much nonsense over this. People are fed up with the town centre as it is, and they want it changed.
We probably be in a position to finalise the plan. I would have thought in the next couple of months, because it changed direction slightly. When we had the long-term plan for town status, we ran quite a substantial consultation. So the amount of data we've got about what people's perception are and what people's priorities are is pretty in depth now.
So will we be coming before Christmas or after Christmas?
I can't commit to that at the moment. I'll have to find out a few councillors Smith and get back to you.
Okay, great.
Okay, any more questions? No? I don't have any either. Please, no. Any comments? No? Councillor Smith?
Yeah. It's my first meeting for a long time to come here, and sometimes I write a report like 5.6 self-catering, service accommodation campaign, no sites, just numbers. As a new guy in the block, I like to know where they are. I know most of them, but it's like a learning curve. A new member come here, right? And I don't know, Jamie, if you've been on it before, whenever. But at the end of the day, I'd like to know a little more information. On the last couple of weeks, I was working with Neil. We had a couple of workshops on the local development plan, which went down well. What's the other one we had? We had something else. Anyway, right, so we had 3. And out of that, a lot of information come out, passed from officers to members, vice versa. We learned a lot from it. So any chance of us having one chair for Regeneration and Tourists, or just Regeneration overall? What the department, what this committee do?
Yeah, I don't see why not. Yeah, well, we can. I'd like to set a workshop up or a session where we can discuss a forward work program, because we've got new members as well. So I think we can chat about that then as well, and I'd like to do that quite soon as well. Councillor Scriven.
Yeah, just to add to that, Councillor Smith, one of the things we've been talking about now as the new administration is making sure that's public information as well. I discussed this with the leader myself, saying that we want to make sure the committees are open and transparent. So if there's a way that we can make sure that that's visible to the public as well, so they understand the remit of what comes underneath each committee, that's something that we're looking at as well. We've had that discussion.
Okay. Well, I hope it'll be full then. Linz, do you want to come in?
Just to come in, not about the overall setup of the information, but if you're in particular interest for accommodation, we've had a company called Arid Research, and they are finalising a 40-page report on our accommodation sector in Merth, and it's nearly finalised, so that will be available. I could pass that on for anyone who's interested, and it gives a complete breakdown of the sector, as well as all the implications of statutory licensing, the perhaps tourism levy. It touches on a lot of things that could potentially hit the accommodation sector as an overview. Yeah.
All to say, because a lot of our generation don't know, do they?
Okay, thanks for that. Any other comments? No? I just like to thank you for coming in and giving an excellent feedback and a really good report. And just keep punching above your weight with limited resources, because from my point of view, that's what you do. Yeah, so thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you.
You can stay, you can leave, you've got a baby to go and feed, haven't you? So.
Thank you. No, thank you.
Cheers. Yeah, thank you, guys. Okay. Okay, moving on, agenda item 4, forward work programme. I feel there's a couple of gaps that we need to fill. Does everybody agree about having getting together soon to discuss a forward work programme? I think we'll need some time on it myself.
One tonight, I mean, now we're going to talk about it now.
Yeah.
But they did mention that will be available by the end of the year. So
yeah,
let's do it.
Yeah.
So that will be on the 3rd of December.
We moved what? There's one, I think, Cavartha Foundation. An invite came out today, didn't it, for Cavartha? I think it was the 19th of November. Anybody else have that? I think it's to go and visit and to get an update. What's that, sorry? Oh, bro. Yeah. So that would be good if we could all go.
It did. And that's probably come about because Councillor Minette Vaux and I asked to go up and meet the staff and Sue Walker was there as well. And they, yes, yes. But what I'm saying is that I think it stemmed from the fact that we were there whenever it was a week last Friday, I think it was. They've let's put it this way: the staff are absolutely over the moon that they've come back under the control of the local authority rather than the Leisure Trust. They've had a really difficult time, and when they were there under the trust,
I'm surprised.
they are bubbling with all sorts of plans there. So when we were there, we said, look, not just us two, but the rest of the members will need to know everything on the plans you've got, and that's why this meeting's come about. Good. And hopefully, as many members as possible will turn up there, and I think they're going to learn a lot as to what they want to do as a museum service.
Is that under the Cavartha Foundation? Or?
No. Well, currently that will remain within the control of the local authority, in my view, looking at the plans of the Cavartha Foundation for a few years yet, until the Cavartha Foundation are completely ready to take it over. But I think they're talking about plans, in the immediate months and within the next 12 months, because next year is the 200th anniversary.
Yeah, they're going to. They said they'll discuss. Yeah. I wasn't aware until the last week that there's a new manager for the Cavartha Foundation, and they're not. They've been appointed, but they don't start for a few months.
Well, the person that was there, it was a female, wasn't she?
Yeah,
she left.
Anna, she left in July.
Oh, right.
I was unaware of that, and we've been talking about wrapping to dry the roof out for some time, and it's our winters are getting wetter, so it'd be good to have a look around and see how bad it's getting.
On that point then, because it's got your Cavartha Castle Regeneration, it's postponed. That's what it's marked down here, it's postponed.
Yeah, it's postponed from this one, and it's coming in December.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. So, we haven't got lots on there, and we've got lots on additional items for consideration. So I think we need to get together and decide a way forward.
The next one after that is the 21st.
Yeah, empty homes.
That'll take us a while to discuss. That's a controversial subject, to say the least, as we all know. But do you anticipate that we'll put in another item on the 21st?
Potentially. Maybe not as long as that one, but might be able to get something else on there as well. I'm just conscious that, it looks a bit sparse to me. I know they're quite big reports. Like today's was, if you look at it on overall, tourism doesn't sound a lot, but it is really so.
So, Chair, we'll have 3 items on the 3rd of December. It's the town centre safety.
Yeah, that's
the bid and the Cavartha regeneration thing.
Yeah, that's it. Plenty. That is. Yeah, I wouldn't know. I never want more than.
Oh no.
No. That, yeah. So, all right. I'll set. Me and Neil work together and set a date up, and we'll give some possibilities that we can all meet together.
Foster Fran said they were going to put their regeneration plan in the autumn for the site, but I've not heard any more.
Okay.
Where they are with that?
I don't know if we can find that out for you.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else on forward work program? No. Okay. Report recommendations. Well, there was no recommendations as such. But does everybody feel that we give good scrutiny to the report? Clive? Yeah.
When I first read it, it looked a bit wordy and a bit bureaucratic, but it's the way that the tourism works nowadays. It's not as clear cut as it used to be. But the issue, I think, there quite clearly is ultimately you've got one core member of staff. You've got this marketing officer who's there for another few months. If there's no further funding, it'll still be only one from the 1st of April. And I think there lies the problem.
Yeah, I think that's, across different departments, across the local authority as well.
But what Alan said about where there's other officers dipping in and dipping out. But if you look across the board, all these officers have got specific
Roles.
duties to undertake day to day. I just wonder, it was a sort of wide statement, how many of other officers do dip in and for how long? I personally don't think it's a great deal.
Yeah, we all know the industry is gone and tourism is the way forward, and we've only got one officer, and with a lack of budget, it's something that, as a local authority, I think we need to look at. Okay, anybody else on that? Smith?
Remember these workshops with the last two scrutinies? The information coming there from members didn't realise how big it was. Now, out this workshop we'll have with this, it's surprising the stuff will come out, but how do you get out to the public? Because the planning department with the local development plan are working out to tell the public what they're doing, how to get around, what plans they got. Right? So it's a lot of information that we know that the public don't know, and then you go out sometimes to see them, never go there to criticise it, because when they try to explain this, they say, oh, they haven't told us. So it's a lot of plans there for 3 or 4 years, but that could be failing. And what we're doing down the line, and we're not getting that information out, are we?
Yeah, well, Jamie said about everything being transparent and getting the public involved.
Yeah, but it's been like that for years now. You know yourself now.
Yeah.
So you can't say just it now. We've been at it for years. We've been trying to get it out for years.
As councillors, I learned things that I probably should have known a while ago, and I felt like, well, how didn't I know about that? So I can imagine how the public feel as well. So
and it's happening.
Yeah, I think we all need to take lessons on that, and they officers do, and all of us work together for the benefit. Right, okay. So item agenda 7, feedback on scrutiny activities. I have some feedback. Actions breakdown. This is from September's meeting. Action breakdown of people on housing register. Focus of being pensionable age. The link was sent out on, that was completed on the 2nd of October. Football Forum Development Plan to be shared, that was sent out on the 13th of September. Seek potential of Cavartha Foundation attending scrutiny as part of Cavartha Regeneration item. That was sent out on the 13th of September. It is to be moved to December scrutiny. So that was just a quick update of scrutiny actions. Okay. Okay. Item agenda. Sorry, it's missing on mine. Item agenda 8. Any other business deemed urgent by the chair? I have none. I'd just like to thank you all for attending and bring this meeting to a close. Thank you all.